Happy Monday, everyone. So today is all about staying focused through emotional triggers. I want to talk about this because it's just come up in my life, and it's come up with not just myself, but my friends, and of course, I think the world right now, right? Emotional triggers happen all the time, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale in your personal life or even in the media. And that's a big thing that's happening right now. And people will, from an emotional trigger, they become fearful, not knowing why. They do things that they usually wouldn't do. They are upset, they lash out, they are essentially erratic. And that space and time in which you are not settled, someone can easily come in and essentially change your life in a direction that you had not wanted or intended. And that's the point of being emotionally unrest or emotionally triggered. When someone's emotionally triggered, they're easily controlled. Okay, so how do you stay focused during a time of emotional triggers? How do you stay focused? Well, one way to do this is, and especially if you've been watching my videos for some time, you are doing some spiritual work. Spiritual work can be done in many different ways. I have a video about it, so watch the video to find out what is spiritual work. I assume that if you're watching this, you have an idea. I hope so. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, then go back and find the video, what is spiritual work. But whatever you're doing as your spiritual practice, whatever it is, then you should be running it. And I don't promote begging. Praying to me is begging. I'm not promoting begging. That's my own personal philosophy. What I do support is you consistently creating a form of communication with your higher self, with your greater self, with your ancestors, an extension of you that can see that larger picture, that is not stuck in the minutia of human life, that is not stuck on Facebook, that is not stuck watching TV, that can see that larger picture of life. And you are consistently running that program that connects you to that. So whatever way you do that, if that's through lighting a candle, if that's through meditation, if that's through yoga, if that's through sitting on the toilet, I always like to put that, taking a bath. I had the most divine bath last night, running my own little program, running my own spiritual work. It was absolutely amazing. So that's one way you stay focused through emotional triggers. It's having something. Another thing to do, of course, is meditate. If you are struggling with meditation, my advice right now is to do something repetitive. Okay, so that's what came to me today. Like, what's a way to get into meditation when you're having a hard time? Do something repetitive, whether it's sewing something, having to bring a needle in and out of something, whether it's cleaning. I've done something where I've cleaned every tile in the bathroom individually, and that's because I was having a hard time just sitting down and meditating and focusing. And then after all those tiles are clean, I was able to just relax and let go and become the observer. Washing dishes, vacuuming. These are all different ways, repetitive things will help you kind of tap into a flow, a rhythm. Sometimes if you're listening to music and the music's changing and shifting, it can kind of take you on a whole other level of emotional swings. So doing something that gives you that repetitive focus will help you stay focused during an emotional trigger. Another thing is that working in different fields that I've worked in, there's often something called a behavior plan. And a behavior plan is when someone has a undesirable behavior and they want to change it. Well, the truth is that when you see what behavior plans are, you're like, oh gosh, everybody should have them. And when a teacher or provider is working with that person who has this behavior plan, their job is to run the program. It's actually called run the program. Well, you need your own behavior plan, and you can do that by setting up your own way of saying, okay, if I'm angry, if I'm sad, I'm going to do these things to calm myself. And by doing that, you have set up your own plan of coping with your emotions, okay? And you will have these, you can create different choices for yourself. I can read a book, I can walk, I can take a drive, whatever it is. I can sing a song. I can play my happy song. Let's say you have a happy song. And you decide each time. Now, the way that this plan actually works the best is that you're actually doing this when you are in a state of peace and you're in a state of unrest. So you run your program. You run your own program. Remember, I always talk about programming yourself, so now here's the time. You run your own program when, no matter what. So when you're running that program, you find a state of peace, you run your program. You decide, oh gosh, okay, I'm unhappy right now. You're acting like it's happening, and then what are you going to do? When you run that program consistently, when something happens that creates an emotional trigger, you run that same program. Because at this point, you've trained yourself to react a certain way, and that is through a peaceful coping skill. So that's another way to do it. Honestly, that's what meditation is. When people are always meditating, no matter what's going on, when something is going on, they can go to meditation and create that state of peace. That's why yoga works, because it allows you to step into a state of focus no matter what's going on in your life. Okay? So, but I'm trying to take away, some people don't want to do yoga. Some people don't want to meditate. So I'm trying to make it simple, to helping you understand what it means to do these kinds of things and to create a state of peace and not being emotionally triggered by everything else. And then my other advice is turn off the TVs, turn off the devices, and really just be with yourself and enjoy yourself. Because in the reality is this, most things that are triggering you emotionally, you actually have no control over. Meaning there's nothing that you're going to do. We have to look at the reality of things. What can you do in this moment? Okay? Because really, if you have a baby who is having this a tantrum or having a hard time, there is something you can do. You can pick them up, you can feed them, you can ignore them, you can do different things that are essentially going to help this baby cope with their emotions and eventually stop crying. Okay? But if there's something happening so far away and there's absolutely nothing you can do, why in the world would you allow yourself to be emotionally triggered by it? But then let's switch. Let's say something happening right there in front of your face and you feel like there's something you can do. Really stop and ask yourself, is this an adult? There's a reason why I use a baby as an example, because a baby is like that one little thing that really does need you. But an adult, if an adult is trying to trigger you emotionally, and adults do this all the time, you need to ask yourself, what can I really do about this situation? If there's really nothing you can do, and for the most time there really is nothing you can do except live your life, then you need to run your program and allow yourself to exit out of that emotional trigger. Because once again, when you get emotionally triggered and you get caught up in it, that's when you are in a perfect state to be controlled. Okay? So happy Monday, everyone. I hope you use this advice and move forward and think about what I've said in different ways. What I've said applies to so many things. It's simple, but it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Even just listening to myself talk. All right. Happy Monday. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.